Would you all, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Mr. Max Scratchmann!
I do a show with a guy called Alec Beattie, which is called either Edinburgh in the Shadows, or Paisley in the Shadows, or Glasgow in the Shadows, or whatever town we happen to be putting it on. And what it is, it's a collection of true, absolutely true, horrible tales about that particular place, right? So, no matter how weird this gets, it is not imagined, it is not made up, it is absolutely true, right? So tonight I'm going to tell you an Edinburgh murder story. Now, whenever I say an Edinburgh murder story to audiences, they think, the grass market, cheap Healing Studios films, fog machines, Birkenhair, all that other shit, okay? This does not take place anywhere near the grass market. It takes place in, of all places, Portobello. Right, you're all from Edinburgh, you all know where Portobello is. I don't need to make Portobello jokes about kids on little wooden bicycles and pubs with chintz bunting and £5 for a bowl of soup and all that other shit. Right, so we're going back. We're going to 1914. We have a Portobello doctor called Hugh Dewar, right? If you're sufficiently nerdy, go look him up on the British Medical Association website to prove that he actually did exist. So what they'll tell you is, at the time of this, Dewar was 48 years old. He had been practicing medicine for 18 years. He was a single man. He lived in a big house in Portobello with his two sisters who kept house for him, ran his practice. He was much popular with the ladies of Portobello. Right. So, an ordinary Scottish GP for the time, turn of the century, 1914, you would think. There's one little bit that the British Medical Association will not tell you about Hugh Dewar, in that he was a total junkie. He was an opium addict. Right? Funny, they missed that bit. Anyway, we have a young woman, a policeman's wife, called Jane Anderson. 1914, Jane Anderson is about to give birth to her first child. She has no hesitation, poor girl, of sending out for Dewar. A messenger boy is sent out to Dewar's house. Dewar gets on his bicycle. That's the best bicycle mime I can even do. Right, and comes round, rolls the sleeves up, gets the gloves off, gets on with the birth thing. Now, at that time, most doctors were too grand to actually deliver a baby themselves. They brought in a nurse or a midwife or whatever. Dewar's not having any of that. He's doing it all himself. He's up in the bedroom with the lady and her mother-in-law. The mother-in-law later says to people that Dr. Dewar was not quite himself. He was stoned out of his fucking mind. Anyway, okay, you've all seen shows like Call the Midwife and things like that. The birth scene, ooh, ah, ah, push, shove, ah, oh, it's crowning, I can see the head, all that other crap. Okay, the birth is not going well. Dewar has to resort to using forceps. He's not good with forceps. He's stoned. Who's squeamish? Nobody squeamish? We'll see. Dewar uses the forceps so badly to deliver the baby that he tears Jane Anderson's vaginal lining. He rips it so badly that her intestine is hanging out of her vagina. Now, stoned or not, you think the guy was a doctor, he would kind of know that something was wrong. Okay? He'd call an ambulance, he'd call in another doctor, he'd call for help. Dewar does none of those things. He is recorded as saying, "Here is something which should not be there." And then he tries to pull it out. Oh. Yeah, you said you weren't squeamish. He pulls out 15 feet of intestinal lining. Oh. Right, there's still a lot more to come. Right, 15 feet. Right, the girl is screaming the place down, not surprisingly. Eventually the intestine breaks. Dewar still hasn't spotted that something's wrong. He picks up the intestine, he puts it into the chamber pot, puts it down, goes downstairs, rolls down his sleeves, tells the husband he's got a bunny wee boy, and he buggers off home. The girl dies during the night. No real surprise there. The case goes to the medical examiner the next morning to see if anything was handled wrong. It doesn't take them a day. It doesn't take them 3 days. It doesn't take them a week. It takes them 3 fucking weeks to decide that, yeah, that maybe wasn't the right way to deliver a kid. They refer the case to the police. The police go out to Dure's house to pick him up. His sister says, oh, Hugh's no in, he's away out on a call. He's delivering another kid. The police go round to the house where he's in, and they wait outside till he's finished. He then comes out and they arrest him. They take him to Portobello police station. He's charged with murder. They check his bag. It's noted in the police report that he had poisons upon his person. And then they give him his bag back and they let him go. On you go. Next morning, Dure's back practising. Right? I think, who would have him in? But they've got everybody in Portobello's having, yeah, he's delivering babies, he's at people's bedsides, everything else. It gets to the day before his trial. He goes to visit his lawyer. We don't know what the conversation was, but let's have an educated guess. What do you think my chances are tomorrow then? Hugh, you're totally fucked. But the trial never happens because the next morning, Dure's dead. Right? What's he dead of? We don't know, because they got him into the ground so fast it was obscene. There was no autopsy, there was nothing. Just bury the bastard and get rid of him. Okay. And we think, well, that's the end of Dure. We thought, surely, 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 the people of Portobello were not going to take this. They would want to know what happened. They'd want to know what this bloody doctor was doing. Nothing like it. They go to the council and they say, how about we build a monument to Hugh Dure? And the council says, aye, on you go, as long as we don't have to maintain it. So they went out in public subscription, they raised £300, 14 shillings and 4pence, and they built a monument to Hugh Dure, a great physician cut off in his prime. So when you're done here tonight, get on the number 26 bus and ask the driver to let you off at Abercorn Park, where you will see the fucking great thing still there. And it used to have a drinking fountain in it, but they've taken that out because the council didn't want to bother maintaining it. So that is my story. That's me. Thank you, folks.